everybody. Welcome to another episode of We'll See You in Hell. This is Joe DeRosa on one side of your head.
And I am Patrick Walsh. Ooh, ooh.
On the other side of your head, We'll See You in Hell. The podcast is now a part of the FANGORIA Podcast Network. For more information about the network, including other programs, how to follow the show, and to find past episodes of We'll See You in Hell, please visit fangoria.com. Now on with the show. For those of you just tuning in for the first time, the reason we're split on either side of you is because this is a commentary podcast, and if you want to watch the movie along with what we're about to do, you can kind of just send that up the middle. And then you got us on either side. Just like in real life, if you were watching a movie with Pat and me, you'd be right between us on this love seat we're sitting on right now.
Maybe I sort of find my hand sliding into your pants. Rummaging around, liking what I see. Maybe the lights go out. Maybe Joe's hand reaches into the other side of your pants.
Which side of the pants are you in?
I'm in the right side of your pants.
I'm in the back side.
Oh, okay. All right.
I go right for the back hole.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
Do you lick the fingers or just jam it home?
After or before?
Well,
folks,
grossed out.
These are the jokes you're going to get on this show.
We always start real blue and then smooth out to much more clever stuff. Maybe it's an attention grabber.
Well, it is what it is. You know,
it is what it is.
Usually in the stand-up world, they tell you to close with sex.
Yeah.
We've been opening with it. Sometimes pedophilia bits.
Right.
Anyway, here we are in the show. This little preamble time is the time for you to go to your Netflix account, boot it up, find the movie Scream. That's what we're doing today in tribute to the late, great Wes Craven. Sad loss to the community.
Very sad. I mean, in terms of horror, like, you know, who better? The guy did, minimum two masterpieces, I would say. Nightmare on Elm Street, and I would say Scream is definitely a modern horror comedy masterpiece.
I'm going to give him 4 masterpieces.
Keep going.
Last House on the Left, the original.
Very disturbing, great film, sure.
Hills Have Eyes, the
Hills
original.
Have Eyes, yes.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Okay.
Scream, that's 4.
That's fair. And I think, you know, people were...
Serpent and the Rainbow, 5.
You know, I've never seen that. But I heard that Bill Pullman gets his scrotum nailed to a chair.
It's a pretty intense movie.
Some people were tweeting us, and the tweets I think were probably pretty lighthearted and funny, but it was kind of like, hey, guys, why are you talking shit about Wes Craven? He just died. We didn't know that he was going to die, and all we really did was praise Nightmare on Elm Street. There might have been a few quips at his expense, but of course we love Wes Craven. We were talking shit about Music of the Heart is what we were doing.
Were we?
Yeah, the Meryl Streep, that's his one kind of stab, pardon the pun, at drama.
Look, I'm not going back and saying I like Music of the Heart now. Just
I'm not either.
The guy passed away. I'm terribly sad he died, but it doesn't mean I'm going to like Music of the Heart now.
No. And when I die, I don't want somebody to be like, you know, I'm sorry I talked shit about Pat shitting his pants at that Little League game. He should have talked shit about me shitting my pants at that Little League game.
Yeah, and also, you know, I love Sam Raimi.
People make mistakes.
When Sam Raimi dies, I'm not gonna praise Oz the Great and Powerful.
Oh no, man, what a piece of shit that was. Sorry, Sam Raimi.
But now, where do you think they went wrong with that movie? When they cast James Franco as a wizard?
Yeah, just terrible casting. I saw it in 3D, which to me elevates almost any movie. And I just hated it so much. Who was the other one? Mila Kunis was Dorothy?
No, Mila Kunis. Dorothy's not in it. Mila Kunis was the Wicked Witch of the West.
There was no Dorothy?
No, because it's before Dorothy came.
Oh, yeah.
Sort of like almost like Wicked, but nowhere near as
God,
interesting.
It was bad. My favorite Sam Raimi is A Simple Plan. I think it's one of the most underrated movies of all time.
Well, no. My favorite Sam Raimi is Evil Dead 2, without question. I mean,
Love
why don't
it.
you keep it in the genre for this podcast, Pat?
I don't have to. You can't tell me what to do.
All right.
Guys, what we're going to do, and we finally learned that we're just going to really quickly gloss over this part of the podcast because it's so insanely boring. Bring up Scream on your Netflix Instant or even a Blu-ray, DVD, whatever.
They should have done it already.
Yeah, or you should have done it already.
Yeah.
And basically, you're going to hit play and then an immediate pause.
Yeah.
So everybody in different load times. Then we're going to go 1, 2, 3, play, and we all start watching it together. It's just that easy.
It's that easy. So if you've hit play and you're all paused up now, here we go.
Here we go.
We've given everybody enough time.
Ample.
Yeah. And they could have paused it if they needed to by now. All right. Here we go.
I'm glad you're coming around.
1, 2, 3, play.
Now, right here,
You should be seeing your Miramax screen.
Miramax, yeah, exactly. Remember when Miramax would like make all the good movies, and now they just make movies where it's like, give me an Oscar.
What do they make now? I haven't seen.
They made like The fucking Artist. You know, like they make movies that they get Oscar whipped into excitement about by saying like, hey, like we got this great, you know, like holding these big expensive screenings and all this shit. And then no one ever remembers them again. They're movies that don't stand the test of time. And they used to make only movies that stood the test of time.
It's not the same company since the Weinsteins left.
Well, no. Did they leave?
I think so, because now they have Harvey Weinstein. It's like Weinstein Productions.
Oh,
now,
right.
or whatever.
Yeah, I mean they had women to beat.
Did he beat a woman?
I've heard tales. Let's move past it. I'm trying to work in this business.
Say allegedly.
Allegedly. Oh no, it's truly allegedly because all I do is hear shit.
Okay.
This is one of, and I'm not just saying horror here. This is one of the greatest opening sequences in the history of film, in my opinion.
This is a brutal sequence.
That's what people forget. It's so fun, you forget how like really disturbing it is.
Yeah, when old Ghostface Killer, which by the way, did they name that after the rapper, or did the rapper name himself after Scream?
No, his name was Ghostface Killer well before this. I don't think there was any tie-in, probably, but I don't know that.
The rapper Ghostface got his name from like a kung fu thing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Drew Barrymore.
Terrific rapper. Fish Scale, one of my favorite rap albums of all time.
Terrific. Yeah. Drew Barrymore in this opening scene here never looked better.
You know,
I mean, she
is
has
right
on the money.
Truly never looked better. This is an incredible, like, I guess there's a bra, but if there is, you're not really seeing it.
I mean, she was a gem.
Just unbelievable.
Who would have believed she was a crack addict at 6 or whatever the hell she was doing? Remember?
Who would have believed she was hitting the pipe with E.T. and a pile of clothes in a closet somewhere?
She really straightened out. One of my favorite things I ever saw Bill Murray do was at the SNL 25th anniversary special.
Saw it.
When he went up to her in the audience and he said, "We're so glad you cleaned up."
Yeah, I remember that well. And she laughed, which shows that she's cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. I think she would have laughed at my crack bit.
I think so too.
And your ET tag.
I think so too. I love her, and she never quite gets the material she deserves, I think. But like, you know, Wedding Singer, whatever, she's just a lovable person.
She's a dream in Wedding Singer.
Yeah, she's great.
In Wedding Singer, I mean, I want her to be my wife immediately.
Sure. Her name was Julia Gulia, which is still a very funny bit.
Julia Gulia?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
She goes, her name's Julia, and she's going to be marrying this guy named, like, Ron Gulia. And then Santa's like, so your name's going to be Julia Gulia?
Oh.
It's real funny.
My friend Julia spells her name with a G, so it looks like you should say Gulia, but it's pronounced Julia.
Okay.
So
well,
maybe
let's get her on the podcast to discuss that.
Maybe when we do a podcast for the Weird Names Network, we'll do that.
What I love, in reading some feedback today, is some of you are like, talk about the movie, talk more about the movie, and some of you are like, it's funny hearing you guys riff on shit, whatever. We're really trying to do a blend, and maybe that's not going to please everybody, but it's pleasing us and hopefully the majority of the listeners. We want a podcast you can listen to in your car on the way to work. We also want a podcast if you're alone on a Friday with no date and no friends. You can watch a movie and feel like you're watching a movie with some pals. That's it.
Well, I agree. This is the conversation that you'd have if you were watching with friends. It's not. Yeah. We're not the fucking directors. You want a real commentary? Put the fucking commentary on, you nerd. Jesus Christ.
By the way, you and I could do that. We could talk about very specific shots, angles, filters. I went to fucking film school, but. What you can watch the commentary on the Blu-ray.
You went to film school?
Yeah, I went to film school.
Because, I mean, I was, we had a small problem with the recorder before the podcast, and Pat didn't even know. I said, look at track 4 and tell me what's happening. He's looking at the master output track.
What I did was I went to one of the least prestigious film schools in the country, Webster University. It is actually a very good film school. But I learned everything basically 6 minutes before it turned digital.
So did I. But
I learned how to piece two pieces of film together like I'm Thelma Schoonmaker.
I learned all that too.
Scorsese's editor.
I know how to do that too.
Okay.
But, I mean, I still know how to differentiate between track 4 and the master output.
Right. What I do, and it's helped me immeasurably with my obsessive brain, is to let go of things I don't need anymore So when I started writing, I focused all my energies on writing and learning about the craft of writing, and I let go the audio technical shit that is handled and should be handled by technical professionals. Even if I want to be a director, I'd rather handle the actors and let some nerd handle the camera. Truly.
That was your way of calling me a nerd. Look, I appreciate it.
Yeah, some nerd is what I said.
Now, Barrymore, she's been getting prank called by the murderer.
Yeah.
And the prank calls got more and more intense, and now he's telling her he just told her he wanted to see what her insides looked like, and she's crying. What do you think? Real tears? You think these are movie tears?
Probably movie tears.
You think she can cry on cue?
She might be able to. She's had some darkness. She's great in this scene. Do you find the voice, hearing it now, too much or just right or not enough?
What voice?
The killer's voice.
What do you mean, am I hearing it just enough?
I mean, I'm saying, do you think it's a little over the top or a little under the top?
I never liked the voice.
It's not great.
I never liked the killer's voice for two reasons.
It sounds smarmy to me as opposed to, like, really menacing.
Well, also, at the end of the movie when they reveal who the killer is, I won't give it away in case you haven't seen this film yet, but then he just speaks through that, like, dime store voice thing, and it just makes his voice like that. It's ridiculous.
Right.
It's not even there's no technology to this day that could do that.
Yeah.
You can change the pitch of your voice, but you can't change the complete, like, timbre of the voice.
For sure. You can't change the Jeffrey timbre of your voice.
How'd you like that word, timbre? I learned
I
that
liked
back
it.
in audio school.
I recently read a very heavily circulated interview with Quentin Tarantino, who is, of course, one of almost everybody's favorite writer-directors. And I love hearing him talk about movies. I remember I saw him on Charlie Rose decades ago, and Charlie Rose was like, what are your favorite movies of the year? And he goes, number one, no question, My Best Friend's Wedding. And I was like,
get out of here.
Like, what the hell is going on?
He also once said that Psycho 2 is better than Psycho. I mean, it's just ridiculous shit.
But you know what? I love it, and I always love his, like, alternate opinions on shit. But he was talking about Scream, like, and this interview came out 2 days before Wes Craven died, and he was talking about how shitty Wes Craven's direction of Scream was, and he's just wrong.
Yeah.
This is such a tense and effective sequence, let alone the rest of the movie, but, like, this movie balances horror and comedy in a really pretty special way.
Which is my point about the Quentin Tarantino. I love Quentin Tarantino's work, but I think he just says things to be inflammatory in interviews. I don't believe that he really thinks Psycho 2 is better than Psycho. I don't really believe he thought The Lone Ranger was one of the best films of 2013. I enjoyed The Lone Ranger. I didn't think it deserved to get bashed.
I didn't see it.
But it was not one of the best films of 2013. That's an absurd statement.
I disagree, and I think he sees things in a very different way, and I think he loves trash as much as high art, and I think that's just I always love reading his opinions on
My
shit.
Best Friend's Wedding is his favorite film of all time.
Of that year. But
loves the work of Sam Fuller, and come on, man.
Yeah, I just think he sees things different. That's all I can say. I dig what he does. I love reading about his opinions because they're always so weird.
Now, the murderer here had Drew Barrymore's boyfriend taped to a chair outside.
Right. Boyfriend looked like Frank Whaley. I guess it was not Frank Whaley.
It might have been Frank Whaley. He turns up in some small parts sometimes.
Sure.
But
great actor.
I can't believe this kid was still wearing a Letterman jacket.
Yeah.
It came out in 1997, didn't it?
It did. 96.
96, yeah. That kid was really sticking with it.
Now, I'll tell you mine, and then you tell me yours, because I remember exactly when I first saw this movie. I had a first date with I won't say her name, but a young woman who became my girlfriend, and we saw Scream and came in after this sequence.
After this, she didn't see the chair get thrown through the window?
She was holding. She was like, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I wanted to see it so bad, and I come in basically at the very end of this.
This is what everybody talked about. Before I saw it, everybody I knew that saw it, and in the write-ups and everything were the opening sequence,
Yeah, that's why I was infuriated that I missed it.
And then also that it's Drew Barrymore, who was past her comeback trail at this point. She was reestablished as a celebrity at this point.
Yeah.
And she's just in this opening 15 minutes, whatever it is, and then gets sliced to pieces.
Yeah, I mean, it's a nod to Psycho where you kill off your star right off the bat.
Blonde.
This movie was written by Kevin Williamson, who would go on to create Dawson's Creek, unless he did it before, but I don't think he did. which is a show I also fucking loved and could not get enough of. And I love that the lead was obsessed with movies. Dawson Leary wanted to be a director. You know, I related to that in high school. I'd watch it every week.
If Quentin Tarantino was here, he'd go, best Kevin Williamson thing, The Faculty.
Oh, The Faculty really sucked.
Well, that's what the Tarantino would say was the best.
You might be right.
I never noticed this before, that she's, I can't remember if she lives in this house or if she's just house sitting or whatever.
I gotta say, it doesn't look like they should be living next to that.
Yeah, I never noticed they lived in front of this cornfield. What the hell do you think's going to happen?
And, you know, I watched Parenthood the other day, which I think is such a fucking great movie. And we talked about it when we discussed Hannah and her sisters. But I think it's so great. And at some point, because it was set in St. Louis, you realize their backyard is like up against a river. And I never noticed that when I was a kid. And that makes no sense either. You got to look at your surroundings.
Isn't there a St. Louis River?
Well, the Mississippi is disgusting, but I don't feel like people are going to live alongside of it, but maybe I'm wrong.
Now, here's where Barrymore eats it. I mean, that shot alone, the first stab is pretty brutal. He comes around the back, you see the knife go in, and then he gets on top of her and just starts stabbing her to death.
Really
First
guts
he
her
chokes
out.
her.
Well, the shot of her coming up where she's hanging with her insides falling out is real rough.
Yeah, I mean, but the stabbing in here is so violent. It's so. It actually. Here's what's disturbing about it. I would imagine it's like if you really had to stab somebody to death, that's how you'd have to do it.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be like an easy thing to do. I mean, there's.
Well, let's find out. You want to stab me real quick and see?
I thought you'd never ask. Since the day we met.
Uh-huh.
Now here's the problem. If you get stabbed to death, they're going to think I did it.
Right.
You know, not tonight, 10 years down the line, whatever, you know? Here's the thing. Back to the voice of the killer. The device that the killer pulls out at the end that he shows is his voice distortion device.
Yeah.
If he actually used the real voice that thing gives you, it's 20 times scarier. It's like this gargly swamp monster voice. It's really freaky.
And, you know, in a movie like this, they must have gone over that forever and ever, getting the voice just right. But they didn't get it just right. You know, he sounds almost like a douche. He's like,
he does.
Hey, how's it? It's just not menacing. It sounds very douchey to me.
It's almost like a movie phone kind of voice or something.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, look, I guess it works because everybody really liked it through the whole series. That, you know,
right.
It stuck.
Me and my friends in high school were obsessed with calling movie phone during the period of time where the Schwarzenegger vehicle End of Days came out.
Right.
Because sometimes they'd have the actors record a little. Here we go. Oh, boy.
Is this where Drew's got her guts hanging out?
Yeah.
Because the mom just screamed. Oh, yeah, look at that. They're all down her leg. She's hanging from a tree.
Opening.
That's how the movie opens. See, I think they should have saved the title card for after she's hanging in the tree.
Joe, I agree 20 million% with you that scream should have just bammed into the screen right now.
Right.
Okay, so they used to have stars sometimes record their own movie phone promos, and they had Schwarzenegger do one, and it was, if I had a recording of it now, I would still listen to it 5 times a day. It was so funny. Excuse my subpar impression of Schwarzenegger, but here's what it was. He would go, on November 24th, get ready. Prepare for the end of days. And my friends listen to this thing and laugh endlessly. It was so ridiculous. And you pictured him in a recording booth with the headset screaming, prepare for the end of days. One of the least scary movies ever made. And we really had a good time.
Now, was he trying to be scary, or do you think he was having a laugh?
No, I don't think he was having a laugh.
Because I think Schwarzenegger's kind of in on the
now.
joke. Like, now, that's a good point. After he was covered. By the way,
End of Days sucks.
That was the beginning of the end.
Yeah.
That was, I remember it was End of Days and then like Eraser.
Eraser really sucked. Your luggage.
And when he shoots the crocodile, yeah. And then
you know what is kind of an entertaining movie is the one with the Collateral Damage. Oh no, what's the one where it's got like a science element?
The Sixth Man.
Oh, okay. With the
Sixth Man.
Sempal.
Wait, or is the
Robert
Sixth
Duvall?
Man the basketball movie where Marlon Wayans is like a ghost?
I think it is. I'm thinking about the one with Bobby Duvall, and it's got a science fiction element.
And it's Schwarzenegger. I feel like it's called The Something Man, though.
The six shit. Again,
whatever. Who
you know
gives a
nerds
shit?
are screaming. It's this.
Oh wait, I can look it up. I forgot.
We're
have a
nerds,
computer
by the
right
way.
here.
I'm not making fun of you. We're all nerds.
I like this. I like the choices here for what's this girl's name again? Because she's
Nev Campbell.
Nev Campbell. I almost called her Liv Tyler. Nev Campbell in this 57-year-old woman trailer park robe they got her in. I love this.
Yeah.
And then the big poster on her wall is Indigo Girls.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Because you know how all the high school kids
Well, you know,
were going for Indigo Girls.
one of the most attractive girls I ever knew took me to an Indigo Girls concert. So I don't think that's mutually exclusive. Nev Campbell, for my money, is about as beautiful as you can do.
Yeah, she's a dream.
And she still looks pretty much the same. And you know, you couldn't call her like an amazing actress, but she's very competent. Like you never are like that scene sucked.
She's very charming. Actually, she really gained. I always respected her, but she really gained my acting respect when I saw
This
her
is a
in
good shot here.
that movie where she got naked. James
Toback
movie.
Yeah.
And she played like a real shitty fucking. She
Yep.
was really rotten in that, and I liked her quite a bit because I believed her as a shitty person.
Yeah, and I love that, you know, like anytime anybody takes a chance on Nev Campbell, she brings it.
The Sixth Day.
Sixth Day. There you go. And Sixth Man
Right.
is Marlon Wayans' ghost basketball player.
Yes, and The Sixth Sense is where Marlon Wayans is a ghost that Haley Joel Osment can see.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay. We got it. We figured it out.
And Drake is running through the six with his woes.
Yes.
That clears up everything.
I also didn't know this just while I'm on his page. Arnold Schwarzenegger was also apparently in Around the World in 80 Days.
I think like 1,000 people had cameos. I never saw that.
He's in the Jackie Chan version.
Right.
His character's name is Prince Happy.
Oh, my God.
And then that was it. Then it was governor for 6 years, and then boom, Expendables. He's back in action.
Sure. What I love now is in L.A., I have a picture of it that I saved. There's a billboard, and it has like 80 people on it, and it's the cast of The Expendables 3. There's so many. I'm like, am I in The Expendables 3? I was looking for my own face.
I never realized this until as we watch it now. Skeet Ulrich was just in that scene playing
Sure.
Nev Campbell's boyfriend.
Never to be seen after, 2000.
Who the hell knows where he is? But everybody used to make the joke that he was Johnny Depp's carbon copy.
Yeah, we talked about it on the Nightmare podcast.
And there you go. Wes Craven breaking in Depp and Ulrich.
Yeah, I mean, this movie has some pretty clear nods to Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah. Well, Nancy wore a similar robe or gown that the one that Nev Campbell was wearing. Nev Campbell has a bit of a Nancy quality. Very naturally pretty.
She's just beautiful. Skeet Ulrich, I remember, was in a movie. This, I think, is what killed his career. It was called Chill Factor. And it was him and Cuba Gooding Jr. driving around a ice cream truck that was rigged to explode. That's an actual movie that got a theatrical release. I saw it.
And it wasn't, nobody said this is just Speed?
Oh, it was clearly a Speed ripoff. It was just such a terrible, terrible movie. Cuba Gooding Jr., that guy wins an Oscar. Then for the next 10 years, it was like Boat Trip, Chill Factor, Snow Dogs. Who's ever had a worse agent than Cuba Gooding Jr.?
Well, I mean, who knows if it was the agent or maybe it was him just saying, I'll do it, I'll do it, I'll do it.
Yeah, they might have been like, we'll give him $5 million. 'Cause that's the thing. One of the best interviews I ever saw was Samuel L. Jackson on Letterman. And he goes, you're in every movie, Sam. You're in every single movie that comes out. It's great. Why do you take every job that comes down the pike?
Right.
And he goes, well, Dave, let me ask you this. Somebody offers you $5 million to spend 6 weeks in Hawaii. Would you take it? And I was like, Sam, I respect it. I do.
Well, that's what Ice-T said when he came and spoke at my school. Look,
Yeah.
Henry Winks.
I love
Henry Winkler.
I've heard one of the nicest men there is in all of Hollywood.
I've heard that too. I forgot he was in this movie till right now.
Yeah.
And it just made me very happy. Ice-T came and spoke at my college, and he said I made 4 movies this year. They'll be coming out at a liquor store near you.
Yeah, that's good.
And then everybody laughed, and he goes, look, I know I don't make the greatest movies, but he's like, I'll tell you something. when you lived in the ghetto and you'd had nothing,
Sure.
and somebody comes along and says, "We'll give you a couple of $1 million to make a fucking movie." He goes,
Yep.
"You'd have to be pretty fucking ignorant to say no to that." And I was like, "All right, I get it."
That's some fucking true ass shit. And then you get some money, and then you can, do your more artistic kind of stuff. But
Do whatever you want.
I completely agree.
Do whatever you want.
1,000%.
You know how they're all high school kids sitting around a fountain. You know, every high school just had a fountain outside of it.
Yeah. My school had like a pit, I think. my school was up against this place called Bush Wildlife, which was a wildlife reserve where kids would go finger each other. And I remember we were terrified, much like in Scream, for about a 6-month period because a child molester / murderer named Michael Jackson
Ooh.
was on the prowl. And at the time, everyone was like, oh, my God, can you believe his name is Michael Jackson? Because no one associated Michael Jackson with pedophilia at all. It was just like, can you imagine how embarrassed Michael Jackson would be if someone made the suggestion that he was a pedophile? That's how young
and then
I
you
was.
guys found out it was actually Michael Jackson.
Yeah, it was him. He was in the woods.
A boom.
Now, Matthew Lillard is recently making kind of an indie comeback because I see him in indie trailers a lot. So I'm glad to see he's still working, even though...
Yes, and I like Matthew Lillard. I find him very funny. I thought he was really funny in the Scooby-Doo movies.
I didn't see him.
Jamie Kennedy, I'm not complaining that I don't see him everywhere anymore.
No, it's fine.
I don't need to see any more breakdance comedies
No.
with Jamie Kennedy.
Malibu's Most Wanted, is that what you're talking about?
I think so.
Yeah.
Or one of those things he did, you know.
Rose McGowan's a stone fox to this day.
I truly miss Rose McGowan.
Yeah.
Where has she been? I mean, I say this with all due respect. Maybe the greatest rack I've ever seen in my life.
She's the kind of gal I don't know if you could really handle, almost. And as she gets older, she gets better looking, and it's almost frightening.
She dated Marilyn Manson. I mean, she's along for she's in for a ride if you're ready to take it.
Sure, if you're ready to take it. Jawbreaker, remember that movie?
Yeah, I mean, she was
kind of a shitty Heathers, but she was great in it.
The hottest I've ever seen her is in that wrestling movie with
Ready
David
to Rumble,
Arquette,
baby.
Which has one of the funniest lines I've ever heard in a movie ever.
Oh, wow, you're blowing my mind now. Now you sound like Quentin Tarantino, but go on.
It's when they find Oliver Platt in the sewer. And
don't remember it.
The like construction guy that finds him has a really high-pitched voice. He's also in the movie Fatso, which is one of my favorite films of all time.
Okay.
And he goes, David Arquette goes, "Where did you find him?" And the construction guy goes, "We found him in Drain 28. He didn't want to leave."
All right, that's good.
It's hilarious. And then
it's not enough to make me watch Ready to Rumble again, but it sounds like a funny
whenever
joke.
I see it on, I'll fast forward to that part and watch it. And then I also always watch the part with what's his name? The distinguished actor that was in the Crimes and Misdemeanors.
Martin Landau.
Martin Landau. That scene is terrific.
Also in Baps, Black American Princesses, starring Halle Berry. That's how big a career swing that guy's had.
But he's really funny in that scene where he's the wrestling trainer.
Yeah.
And they think they killed him, and they get real close to him, and then he goes, ah, and he like comes awake like a snake.
Yeah, yeah.
That's always funny. They do that in Throw Mama from the Train, where they think she's dead.
There's a lot of movies. I used to wonder, like, how did this movie that is like an F- get like 5 jokes that are A+? And then you realize it's something I actually do fairly often is you go to movie punch-ups, and they get, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but they get really funny writers to come in for one day, and they pay you pretty well, and you add like 15, 20 jokes to a movie script, and they take them or leave them. And I've been at them with...
Can you get me in on one of the... I've been trying to... I mean, I haven't been trying. I've wanted to do that. I think I'd be good at that.
I do them. I'm not allowed to say, which movies and stuff. I do them whenever I have free time. And
can you throw my name in one of those hats?
I absolutely will. I've been in them with the great Patton Oswalt.
Yeah.
They get kind of big people, and you're looking at a script and you're like, well, this is the worst script I've ever read. Sometimes they're funny, but a lot of times they're not. And you go in, you throw in these great jokes, and that's how movies get like amazing jokes sprinkled in with the shit.
Well, I guess that happened with Ready to Rumble.
I can almost guarantee it did.
Odd choice for Oliver Platt.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the 90s was a big time for like like movies that looked bad and would be really funny. Like I remember Sugar and Spice, this cheerleading movie. My buddy and I were like, Bring It On was funny. We'll see Sugar and Spice.
Wasn't that the one where they like robbed the bank or something?
Yeah. And I was just like, holy shit, like there's amazing jokes in this. I think Josie and the Pussycats is one of the most subversive, funny movies ever made. And it was so nasty to its target audience.
That's great.
You almost couldn't believe it. It was shocking.
I felt that way about both Brady Bunch movies.
Oh boy, that's a perfect example, Joe.
I thought they were phenomenal.
They're really funny and like
the
dark.
I already mentioned it. I liked the first Scooby-Doo movie quite a bit. It was very self-effacing.
You know what?
It was very funny.
I know James Gunn wrote it, who's a guy I'm a fan of and who's now a huge director because of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Sure.
And I'm going to rent it and watch it because I've never seen it.
It's very funny. It's very funny.
Great.
And there's actually pot humor in it, which is weird.
Well, I thought the cartoon always had an element of that.
My friend made a good point. We saw it in the theater, and he turned to me and he goes, "What do you do?" They make a joke like, Shaggy's like, he meets a girl he loves or something, and she's like, "Hi, my name's Mary Jane," and the whole theater erupts into laughter. Then my friend turns to me and he goes, "What do you do when your 6-year-old says, 'Why is that funny?'"
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know, man. That made me respect that they put it in there, though.
I always wonder that. I work with a woman who has like an 8-year-old son, and he's always asking her questions, and, what does that mean? What is this? And my parents never used to tell me, which makes it all the more alluring. There's this joke in The Naked Gun where there's a really tall guy.
Yeah.
And he goes, "You got something in the corner of your mouth."
Yeah, it's classic.
And a half a banana falls out.
Right.
And to this day, I don't necessarily get it, but I asked my mom, like, why is that funny? And she was so weirdly tight-lipped about it that I assumed it was some filthy dick joke. But all it is that the guy's so tall that when he's got something on the side of his mouth, it's half a banana.
Yeah,
I guess.
How do you still not get that? That's what the joke is.
I just think it's kind of like not worth the squeeze, I guess.
It's a hilarious joke. He goes, "You have something on the side of your mouth," and then he goes, "No, the other side."
Yeah.
And then the clump of banana.
Yeah,
falls.
no, it's a decent joke, and I think The Naked Gun is about as funny as it gets. But I was always so baffled by it, and my mom's refusal to answer me made me think it was some really disgusting dick joke that it's not.
You know what joke I never got in that movie?
Go on.
When she's up on the ladder and he goes, "Nice ankle bracelet." And she goes, "Oh, did that
down there
slide
again.
down there again?" I never understood what that meant.
That used to make me laugh because you just picture the bracelet making that journey from her ankle or from her wrist to her ankle. But they are really weird jokes that I think probably could have benefited from,
Give me an insert shot of her slipping it back to the wrist. And
Sure.
then I go, okay.
I mean, they can't all be, as classic as Nice Beaver. Thank you, I just had it stuffed. Which is real good. Even when I was a kid, I was like, I get that one.
To me, one of the funniest sequences in movie history is in Naked Gun 2.5, which I might even prefer to the first original.
They're real close. Goulet's a much better villain.
But
I
mean, the from start to finish, that sequence where he's in the bar drinking because he's all busted up over her.
Oh, it's great.
I mean, it's just joke after joke.
Yeah. I haven't had this much sex since I was a Boy Scout leader. I mean, at the time, I was dating a lot. My aunt took me to see 2 movies I was not allowed to see because they were PG-13. Naked Gun 2.5 and Problem Child 2, back to back. Both hilarious.
I never saw any of the Problem Childs.
Problem Child 1 is great, mostly because of Ritter and Michael Richards. And Jack Warden. And Problem Child 2 is great because it's like really gross and goes to like really fucked up places. The guys who wrote Ed Wood, Man on the Moon, People vs. Larry Flint, they wrote the 2 Problem Child movies.
When I was at the Montreal Just for Laughs Comedy Festival, I was one of the roasters for Gilbert Gottfried roast they did.
Yeah.
And my whole closing thing was building up Gilbert, like what an artist he was.
Right.
And then, my example was, let me tell you what an artist he is. Not only was he in Problem Childs 1 and 2, he was the only cast member to return for Problem Child 3 and 4.
That's true.
Not even the kid eventually said, "No, enough."
You know
but
what?
Not this man.
I got other commitments. Yeah. Michael Oliver.
And then he went on to be in the Problem Child TV series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were, at least as recently as 6 months ago, still trying to reboot Problem Child, but I guess the pilot didn't go. I don't know.
What are you going to do? By the way, back to the movie.
Yeah.
We're way off track at this
we
point.
we always do.
Nev Campbell, Sydney, as she's called. There's the Ghostface killers in her house now, trying to kill her, and she just did we really miss something? I forgot that she had like some kind of phone thing on her computer.
Yeah,
it was like for a deaf caller.
Right, exactly. What's weird to me is I recently went to my buddy Ian's bachelor party, and I think he was so adamant about not, like banging a hooker or something, which is great, but he was so adamant about being good that we wound up playing it a little too safe, and we spent the Saturday night as bachelor party watching Scream 2 in the hotel room suite. But we all had a great time. We kind of provided our own commentary for it then. Scream 1 looks so much more modern than Scream 2, which was one of the most dated-looking movies I've ever seen.
Really?
It was 90s to the point where like you were embarrassed for what you used to wear back in those days. And this looks reasonably modern to me, Scream 1.
No, it's well, that's like the Nightmare on Elm Street series too. The first one, more or less, you can tell it's an older film, but nothing is too out of whack.
Yeah.
You get into 2 and 3. I mean, it starts to look real 80s.
Yeah. Arquette, I just got an email.
About David or from David Arquette or about David Arquette?
It was from David Arquette saying, give me work. No, it was an email, and, I never know how I get these things. I guess probably from seeing a concert or something. But it was like 2 weeks only at the Burbank Playhouse. David Arquette is Sherlock Holmes.
Oh boy!
And I thought, who's going to see it?
What is it? A one-man show?
It felt there was no other cast members. I feel like it might be like the Holmes monologues, starring David Arquette as Sherlock Holmes.
Hey folks, I'd rather see the vagina monologues. And you know how I feel about that.
Sure. I mean, yeah, for me, the issue is all about appropriate miking. A lot of times the vagina gets up on stage and it's not projecting the way you want it to.
How has nobody done that as a sketch yet, where they go to see the vagina monologues and it's just women queefing into microphones? How has that not been
maybe
done?
They have, but
I'm telling you it hasn't.
All right, well, let's do it.
Oh, my God.
Let's get run out of town.
All right, nobody gets to do it. Courtney Cox still in this highlighter neon yellow.
This is the one true 90s thing. I mean, that's just an absurd dress she's wearing.
But I think it's also because she's like this sensationalist reporter. I think it's...
Yeah. Scream had a lot to say, and I will say it's an oddly prescient movie. With this character and her obsession with not the news, but like the sensationalism of it, it's a little ahead of its time.
Well, it's great to see movies that are entertaining in one fashion, and then beneath the surface, there's this whole other thing. You know what I mean? It's the Anchorman 2... Brilliant commentary on the news, on modern day news.
Yeah, I completely
But it's just
agree.
all wrapped up in this big Will Ferrell joke. So it's nice.
I will say, Anchorman 2 is one of the most curiously stepped on, neglected, underrated movies that there is. It's not the first one, but the fact that it was just kind of brushed aside so easily is very baffling to me because I thought it was really great.
I don't understand why they released the theater version that they did. And
all that was weird.
The alternate version on Netflix was the movie you wanted, and it was 10 times better. And I'm like, why wasn't this the theatrical version?
I own them both, and I couldn't tell you why. I don't know.
It doesn't make sense. Here's another, I'd say nod to Nightmare on Elm Street. Now you're, you got the kids in the police station.
Yeah.
You got the sheriff that's on to, what the hell's going on around here.
Right.
I don't want you hanging around with your boyfriend. This kid might be bad news. What did he do? This is like when Rod gets accused in the first one.
Ulrich.
In Nightmare on Elm Street, excuse me.
I don't remember thinking this at the time, but I just watched Ulrich deliver that line, and it was bad.
Was it?
It looked like when you see on audition tape on a DVD. It was terrible.
Well, look at this face. I mean, look at that face. How do you say no to that face? Is this guy supposed to be his dad? Look at this guy. We're supposed to believe this guy birthed.
It looks like that guy played bass in like The Outfield or the Psychedelic Furs or like some 80s kind of off the beaten path band.
I mean, there is a strange similarity between him and
this guy would be Danny McBride today. playing this role. Is
Yeah.
that
What?
is that the guy who he played Meatloaf in the TV movie? And so we're not getting a good look at his face, the cameraman.
They made a TV movie about Meatloaf?
Yeah, they did.
What was it called? Let me guess. Bat Out of Hell.
Yeah, it was
The
pretty.
Meatloaf
I think it
story.
was that. It was a VH1 kind of deal.
What is the story? Who gives a shit?
Hey, here's my review. I would do anything for love, but I won't watch that. Thank
Here's
you.
my review.
Yeah.
I'd rather watch a piece of actual meatloaf. There you go.
Okay. Yeah.
That's my bit.
Good.
Look, we
Both
both had
strong.
good bits.
What are we listening to right?
My phone over there is buzzing.
That's your phone ring?
Yeah, it's buzzing. It's a vibration.
Oh my
you don't
God,
have
that's
you don't have
annoying.
They can't hear it where they're.
Oh, all right.
the
I
audience
hear it
can't hear
very strongly.
Yeah, but you're not. It's not in front of a unidirectional mic. Back
I thought
to audio
your
school.
pacemaker had exploded or something.
No, it's
It's really intense.
so I can feel it in my pocket. So I need a lot of buzzes. I can't feel it in my pocket.
This is where Arquette and Cox met. Am I correct?
Yes,
And they are still together, or are they recently divorced?
Oh
I
no,
think
they're
divorced.
long divorced. You never heard all those things on Stern where he said she was having like an emotional affair and
No, I didn't.
all that stuff? How's Cox looking these days? I'm sure fantastic.
Look,
I mean,
well-
I feel like a little bit of a pig saying it like that. I didn't mean it like that.
No,
but-
I hate to be an asshole, but I mean, Cox was always, to me, the most attractive of the friends, even over in Aniston. And she went a little far with the plastic surgery. I don't think I'm talking out of school to say that, but she went a little far with it.
Aniston
And living
was
in
always
this
my top.
godforsaken town, I don't know how women do it, really, but she went a little far with it.
Aniston was always my top.
I think she's most people's top. And, you know, I don't love that Kudrow always gets left out in the trash because I think she's a brilliant comedic actress, and the comeback is fantastic. And
beautiful,
Romeo
too.
Michelle's fantastic, and she's a good-looking woman.
You know, everybody's got it. Look, I'm sure most people want to bang LeBlanc over everybody else, but that doesn't mean that Schwimmer isn't a good-looking cat.
I mean, I would hope people's favorite is Perry, who's clearly the funniest, but maybe girls think otherwise. I don't know.
I like a Perry. My favorite.
You watch those shows, Chandler is the funniest by 1,000,000,000%.
He is. They just kind of ruined him toward the end. He started to get too.
Quippy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did the rest of the cast of Annie say after you said that? You know what I mean? It was
Right. I
punchlines
hear
like
what you're
that.
saying.
It was too much. Cox holding it together. Body is looking terrific.
Oh, unquestionably. There's just, the face is a little wild.
She's had some surgery done.
And then you wonder, like, I mean, I talked about this, I think, on here before, but, like, I never knew that any woman did anything to her face unless she looked like Joan Rivers. And now I learned that everyone does something, but I also see how you go too far with it and you get carried away because as you start to age, you know, it's crazy. You look at yourself in the mirror, and I'm 34, and you're like, man, I see it happening. Like it's a day-to-day thing.
Pat, I'll tell you, I have days where I look in the mirror and I say, when did my father move in?
To my face. Yeah,
I can't
it's
tell
tough.
you, Pat.
It's tough, but it happens to us all. What are you going to do?
I mean, I eat chocolate and it's on my hips the next day.
That's a great Big Daddy joke, if I may.
What's that?
Is
The movie Big Daddy, or is that what you call your father?
I call him Big Daddy like in a Tennessee
don't-
Williams play. No, it's in the movie Big Daddy, Adam Sandler goes, I tell you, I used to eat anything I wanted, and I had so much fun. He goes, I tell you, these days I drink half a milkshake, my ass jiggles for a week. And I laughed because I was 16, and I thought, that'll never happen to me. But it happens.
No, it happens.
There's Liev Schreiber.
Oh, boy, does it happen. Wait, Liev Schreiber's in? Oh, yeah, he is in this.
He's in 2. I think he's the killer in 2, actually, if you don't mind me saying.
Who is he in this one? I haven't seen this, I don't think, since I was
He's the guy who
in
killed her
college.
mom.
He killed her mom.
Because they really do. They make it into a trilogy where like all these movies interconnect. Four I didn't love. I think 2 is a great sequel. I really do. And Parker Posey's great in it. And I think 3 is okay.
Who's the killer in 4?
No recollection.
No recollection?
No.
Who's the killer in 3?
I don't remember. I think in 2 it's Lee. I think it's. Is it 2 people in this one? Oh yeah, it's Lillard and
well, there goes for the listeners.
Stop.
It's
In two, it's Schreiber, I believe.
It's Skeet Ulrich and Lillard.
Yeah.
But
Liver Alone.
I mean, I never noticed how much they try to make you, or I don't want to say I never noticed, but I don't remember that they made.
There's Linda Blair from The Exorcist.
Yes, that's very cool.
Yeah. Oh boy.
They made they really push you to think it's
10
Ulrich the whole time, and then kind of pull you away from it.
It's two people, yeah.
But I think before it ends, you were like, oh, it wasn't him.
Yeah, I think so too.
They do a good dance with that whole thing.
They do.
Here's some movie insights about the Scream film, the first Scream film.
Go on.
Controversies. I'm reading this off of Wikipedia, if you don't mind.
Wasn't there some actual murders with the ghost faces?
It says in the years following the release of Scream, the film had been accused of inspiring copycat crimes and inducing violent acts. In January '98, 16-year-old Mario Padilla and his 14-year-old cousin Samuel Ramirez stabbed Mario's mother, Gina Castillo, 45 times, killing her. Case became known as the Scream murder because it fell under intense media scrutiny after the boys claimed they were inspired by parts 1 and 2 of the film series. Pair confessed to needing the money acquired from Gina's murder to fund a killing spree. Purchased 2 Ghostface costumes and a voice changer used by the characters in the film. We already talked about the voice changer.
Right.
So these kids, they dressed up as a Ghostface, and or at least planned on keep going. They started with that's disturbing. During the trial, a psychologist said there were a whole bunch of reasons why they acted out that way, but did the movie provide a blueprint? Absolutely. That's ridiculous. It's like saying...
Yeah, you're going to kill somebody, you're going to kill somebody.
I remember we saw The Boy Who Could Fly when I was a kid.
Oh, God, I used to love that movie.
One of my friends went up on the roof, and he was going to try to do it.
Yeah.
He was going to try to fly, and he didn't. We talked him down. We were like, you can't fly, dude. Like, you're going to hurt yourself.
Was he mentally ill?
He wasn't mentally ill. He was a little slower than us, but, like, he was a normal kid. But he thought he could fly, and he went up and he was going to try it. The funny part, I mean, now it's funny because everything ended up okay. His little brother, who did not like him, was encouraging him to try to fly.
Right.
But it all worked out. We talked him down.
My dear friend Fred Savage was in that movie. As a very young boy.
Speaking of your friend Fred Savage.
Yeah.
I watched, by the way, that was a name drop from Pat, everybody.
Look, I'm not above it.
I watched his new movie, The Driller, The Finisher, TV show. With him and
you
Rob
saw
Lowe.
the new pilot?
I saw it on an airplane.
They put the pilot on the airplane?
I saw it on an airplane. It was hilarious.
Oh, good. I can't wait to see it.
Fred
I have a lot of friends
Savage
working on it.
was laugh out loud funny in it.
Great. Can't wait to see it.
And I'm not just saying that.
All right.
It's really funny.
I can't wait.
And it was relieving to see something like that because I was like, and I watched Grandfathered, which I didn't like as much, but
I have friends on both of these shows, so I will not say anything.
It was still funny though.
But I am looking forward to seeing them.
I
both.
got hope seeing both of them, and I was like, it's good to see network. It's particularly the Fred Savage one. I was like, it's good to see network TV doing stuff that's a little off the mark.
Sure,
now,
Sure.
But the Savage one, man, he and Rob Lowe both were great in it. The girl from It's Always Sunny's on it.
Mary Elizabeth Ellis.
Yeah, she's great on it.
Yep.
It was funny. I've developed quite a TV crush on that girl.
Oh, she's great. She's really nice and funny.
A little more Scream controversy over here. Jesus Christ, listen to this one. January 17th, 1999, 13-year-old Ashley Murray was stabbed multiple times in the head and back before being left for dead.
It's a comedy podcast.
By his then friend Daniel Gill, who was 14.
Oh.
And another guy, Robert Fuller, who was 15. Yeah, this is kind of a downer, huh?
I don't know that qualifies as a fun fact.
I didn't mean it as a fun fact. I started reading it because I thought it was going to say the 13-year-old killed people, and then I didn't read enough ahead until I actually started reading it loud, and then it said that the 13-year-old got murdered.
Right.
So sorry about that, guys.
I mean, I don't buy that shit. You want to kill somebody, you're going to kill somebody. In movies, they might change the style or something, but if you're going to kill somebody, you're a nut, and you're going to do it.
I agree. Bravo's 100 Scariest Movie Moments. Opening scene to Scream, number 13.
Yeah, that feels around right.
100 AFI's 100 Greatest Movie Quotes. Do you like scary movies?
What is the shirt and hair that Campbell's sporting now? Like, why do they have her looking so momish?
I missed her because I was reading the stupid...
Would you watch the movie?
I'm trying to read trivia for the fans.
In this internet age.
Henry Winkler now is reprimanding kids that are wearing ghost face masks at the school because they think it's as a prank, and now Henry...
I remember seeing the trailer, which I'm sure is on YouTube, for the 3rd season of The Sopranos, which in my opinion is the best TV season of all time. I know you don't love The Sopranos as much as I do. But in the midst of all this like amazing shit and like all these crazy action sequences and everybody yelling and going crazy, there was 2 people in the Scream mask running out of a college. And I remember this was like 6 months before The Sopranos premiered. And I was like, what the fuck is going on with these Scream masks in the Soprano preview? And eventually, it's just 2 teenagers robbing a Jewel concert at a college, and it's kind of a funny scene. But I was just like, man, how do the Scream masks factor into the Sopranos? I thought they had some weird like new horror element or something. But the impact of it was pretty far-reaching. This was a huge movie, I remember.
Yeah, it was.
I was in high school at the time. It was like this and American Pie were everything.
Well, some other information I'm seeing here on the Wikipedia page, and I do remember that this was the case. The horror movie industry was or the genre itself was sort of slumping. Scream kind of put it back in, respectful territory again.
And then immediately it started being terrible because I remember this was the age of like Phantoms with Ben Affleck.
A lot of people say Phantoms is really good. I've never seen it, but
it's not. There were some good like Mimic. Guillermo del Toro did a movie with Mira Sorvino I dug called Mimic. And there were some good horror movies.
As we mentioned.
The Faculty really sucked.
I never saw The Faculty. I had no interest.
Who's that girl? Christ.
That girl, she's they have to have this scene in every horror movie when the victim protagonist is in a stall at the high school in the bathroom, and then there's a bitchy girl that's like, she's a crazy bitch.
Can we all agree there's no worse soap dispenser than those pink ones that look like seashells that you push? Like it always takes me several minutes to get the soap out and figure out how to use it.
They do have Nev Campbell in a terrible getup.
It's bad, and the hair like a feathered bangs kind of situation.
Look, I don't mind the bangs. Let's talk about this shirt she's wearing.
The shirt's particularly bad, and I get what they're doing. McGowan is always wearing like a bra, and they keep her in kind of more tame shit. But
tame is one thing, but to make her look like she sells pies she made at home for a living.
Yeah, leaving a pie on the windowsill to cool.
Teaching Mrs. Tingle. That's one of the other.
Wow, do I remember Teaching Mrs. Tingle? I saw that in a date as well. It was not good.
That was sort of like a high school version of Swimming with Sharks, right? Like a mean teacher.
It was a bitch teacher who was, I want to say, Helen Mirren?
Yep.
Okay, yeah.
And then the kids like to kidnap her and torture her or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's like Swimming with Sharks, except without Kevin Spacey.
Yeah, not as good. And Frank Whaley.
Once again.
It's weird how these things happen. People keep coming up in these podcasts.
Now, here's my question. I had heard that they were making a Scream TV series.
Yeah. It's on. I haven't seen it, but it's on TV.
It's already been. I didn't know that.
I think the whole first season has aired, and I just...
It has.
I've never watched a
aired.
scripted show on MTV. Not out of any sort of bias, but I just always feel like they're for people much younger than me. Maybe it was good.
They're going to keep going with it, too, even though Wes Craven has passed.
Well, he had nothing to do with that show, I don't think. Except cash and checks.
I think he was a producer on it, was he not?
Probably.
You've never seen the show? I've never seen one episode of it.
Never saw Scream, never saw Teen Wolf, never saw any of those.
I refuse to watch Teen Wolf. I refuse to watch a show that takes a movie that helped mold my childhood and has turned it into like this, like a real horror thing. I love real horror, but you don't do that with Teen Wolf. All the fun's gone.
I mean, I can't believe you felt that passionately about Teen Wolf. But
who didn't love Teen Wolf?
Did you love Teen Wolf 2, TOO?
Unwatchable.
It is.
Unwatchable.
Who knew? The stars of both Teen Wolves would go on to become big stars.
Who knew? Who knew?
Bateman?
I mean, you
Jay
watched
Fox.
Teen Wolf 2. I would have. My money was on Bateman bottoming out.
Sure.
Guy's one of the biggest names in Hollywood right now.
Bateman, you know, of course, I always watched him on the Hogan Family and all these shows when I was a kid. But, like, I mean, Arrested Development, that was a big shock. It's just like, man, this guy has, like, the best straight man comedic timing in the fucking game.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
And that really does come from working that multicam sitcom circuit. Like, if you can do that shit, you know how to land a fucking joke. You have to know how to land a joke.
He's, in my opinion, the funniest I've ever seen. That guy is in that movie, that Mike Judge movie, Extract.
Extract was a pretty big letdown for me, but I think he was pretty solid in it, yes.
He's done the funniest thing. He did the funniest things in that movie I've ever seen the guy do. When he's on the phone and he starts pounding it on the desk because he's so angry.
Yeah.
It's so, he's just, and then the stuff between him and Ben Affleck is really funny in it too.
I agree.
Yeah, Scream TV show. Am I out of the loop here? 10 episodes. I didn't even know.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm sure you can download the season or whatever. I never. There's so much TV and so much good TV that somebody needs to tell me something's good at least 10 times before I watch an episode. Or unless it's someone I love and trust who's like, you got to see this. It's the best thing ever.
I want to look up what Ghostface looks like on the TV show because he does look different.
It's a different mask, which I don't get. You have one of the most recognizable things in horror history at your disposal. Why not use it?
It's scarier looking.
Lillard's dating McGowan in this?
Yeah, they established that like right at the beginning.
Whew, Christ.
What, you don't believe it?
I guess not.
You don't believe Lillard and McGowan? I believe it.
All right.
Now they got Winkler putting the mask on.
Well, this is the scene where you're supposed to think it's Winkler, yeah.
Is it Winkler?
A big story that always gets told in comedy writers' rooms is that on the set of Happy Days, he was playing the Fonzie, of course. And
the Fonz, not the Fonzie.
They wrote
it's either Fonzie or the Fonz.
They wrote into the script this week, they had like him saying correctamundo at some point. And they said he came into the writer's room and he goes, guys, you keep writing correctamundo and all this. He's like, you don't have to do that. I know where the amundos go. Like, it was just like a brief period early in his career where he took himself a little too seriously. But that's a really funny story.
Well, and I swear to you.
Oh, boy.
The guy in the janitor in the Freddy sweater.
Rubes,
and the Freddy hat.
Who looked like it might have been Wes Craven, but I guess maybe
we
not.
Can't rewind it because we got to stay.
We got to keep doing this stupid podcast for you people.
I swear to God, that story is so absurd that if you said to me, who said this, Henry Winkler or the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I wouldn't have known.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. I literally
Boy,
wouldn't have
there's. Yeah, I'll tell you what, and I've said this many times in my life, there are some great fucking jokes in Turtles 1 and 2.
I, to this day, love Turtles 1. I hate Turtles 2.
I think I prefer Secret of the Ooze.
That's insane.
And
that's an insane
and here's why.
Sentence.
Here's why.
Why?
It has, well, I'm not going to say the Vanilla Ice cameo, but it's got a scene where they're going through and Raphael is tied up and they're trying to rescue him. And they go, man, it's dark up here. And they go, yeah, a little too dark. And he goes, oh, my God, it's so quiet in here. And Leonardo's like, yeah, a little too quiet. And they go, oh, my God, it's Raph. And Leonardo goes, yeah, a little too Raph.
What?
When I was a kid, I laughed for 5 minutes.
I don't even get it.
Well,
a little too
Raph.
Raph.
The difference between you and me.
The hell does that mean?
It's a very funny joke in Ninja Turtles 2.
I don't
Secret
get the
Ooze.
joke. What is too Raph?
Raphael. It's quiet in here. Yeah, a little too quiet.
Right.
Hey, there's Raphael. A little too Raphael.
What? I don't get it.
Well, we disagree.
You mean because it doesn't make sense that he says a little too Raph?
Yeah. Look, I'm a kid when I see it.
Look, God bless. I don't know.
I laughed and my mom laughed.
I didn't even see
thank
the
you,
second
Mom,
one.
For taking me to both Turtles 1 and Turtles 2, Secret of the Ooze.
I saw Turtles 1 with my oldest friend in the world, Scott, who you've met many times. Opening night.
Yeah, I saw them both opening night.
With
for sure.
his mom, my folks, two of us. We went opening night.
It was a big deal. And then I wanted pizza afterwards.
Part 2 came out. I was like, don't even bother.
Even as a kid, you were
Even as a kid, I knew
curmudgeon.
it was going to suck. And it did. It sucked.
This
It's poorly
kid,
directed. It's terrible.
this kid
It's
on
got
the
worst
playground.
rap song.
Look,
The Partners in Rhyme. First Turtles with Turtle Power. That's a fucking song.
Turtle power.
Yeah.
But the lyrics to it are wrong.
No, I know, but who gives a shit?
Raphael, he's the leader of the group, transformed from the norm by the nuclear
I
goop.
know.
Raphael's not the leader of
I
the
know.
group. So
I
what, you
know.
never watched one episode of the show and you're going to do a rap about it?
Look, I don't really care about the mistake. It's a superior musical effort.
Okay.
And Turtles 2
Okay.
doesn't have the setup. Casey Jones isn't in it.
Look, would it hold up now? I can almost guarantee no. But oh well.
Well, what are you going to do? I would have liked to seen Feldman return. That's the other thing. Turtles 2, no Feldman.
You didn't see the new Turtles, did you?
I tried watching half of it over
Michael
Pete's
Bay.
house, and I couldn't. I mean, it's fucking terrible.
Yeah. Now, Turtles 3, Turtles in Time, is unwatchable too. And a friend of mine at school had seen it before all the rest of us, and he goes, dude, wait till you see Turtles 3. They're going to make 6 Ninja Turtle movies. Go see 3, and you'll see what I mean.
Okay.
So me and my buddy Ryan, we go and see Turtles 3. There's nothing that indicates there's going to be 6 Turtles movies. He said he saw something in it that was like, there's going to be 3 more. They set it up for a whole nother trilogy. To this day, I don't know what he was talking about. Perhaps he was on drugs. If anything, you go see Turtles 3 and you're like, well, this franchise is over.
Maybe there was this post-credit scene.
Maybe. I don't think they did do it in those days.
They
Ferris,
did it
Ferris
during
Bueller has a post-credit scene.
So does Masters of the Universe, starring Dolph Lundgren, Billy Barty, and Frank Langella.
I've seen MOTU or MOTU.
Uh-huh.
What is the post-credit sequence?
Well, He-Man defeats Skeletor by throwing him into like a pit of lava,
Yeah.
and the credits go, and then...
Let me guess real quick. Does a bone hand come out of the lava?
Better.
Okay.
Better. It's actually a pretty cool scene. It's a close-up of the lava, and Skeletor's head pops out
Okay.
and says to camera, I'll be back.
But you weren't, Skeletor.
Well, they had a sequel planned, and then they canceled it.
Now, see, I have really strong memories of my childhood. For example, I remember that I had several birthdays where I would wind up crying into an elf cake because no one
Yeah,
would
I
come.
know. You told us that last time.
But what I don't remember is ever enjoying Masters of the Universe. I had a huge Ninja Turtles collection, but I never remember watching He-Man or Masters of the Universe. However, there's a photo of me in an Orko costume for Halloween.
That's just because you like to put on dresses.
But I don't remember ever having a toy or caring about Masters of the Universe at all. This is a great song by Nick Cave that is also used in Dumb and Dumber called Red Right Hand.
Really?
And Nick Cave, I'd like to say, I'm sorry that your son died. That's terrible. I'm sure you're listening to this.
I'm reading more about the Scream TV show, and it says now the link said the link that I clicked on said Scream remake made the weirdest decision possible. Okay,
Go on.
Remake meaning the TV show. Here's the quote. Please note that I had been in communication with TWC regarding this, and they have informed me that as of now and during the initial launch, Ghostface is not involved in the new format. They also indicated that because of this direction, it does not mean that Ghostface will not be involved at a later date. So there is still a question to the question. However, as of now, there is no involvement. Further down, it says, we believe Scream is Ghostface and Ghostface is Scream. However, while Ghostface is owned by Funworld, this is Funworld saying this, the Scream motion picture franchise is owned by the Weinstein Company and it is their option to film a movie or TV show without Ghostface. I don't know. The plot was already completely removed from Wes Craven's hit films anyway, so it's pretty disappointing to find that the MTV version is 100% in-name only cash grab. Okay, so it's just, here's the plot of the show. You ready? Is this boring?
I mean, we're both talking and watching a movie, and now you're reading articles aloud.
I just want.
It's like what's going on?
I want to learn
Talk about the
Scream
MTV generation.
I want to learn about the TV Scream show, the Scream TV show.
All right, well, watch it at some point.
Well, just read the plot real quick.
Go ahead, real quick.
Emma and her best friend Aubrey see relationships and lives turned upside down when a private video of Aubrey's goes viral and incites a murder in the teen's small town.
Okay, sounds like the plot of Unfriended, which was a great horror movie.
Yeah, that's all right. Well, whatever. That's your Scream TV show.
That's
there
it.
You
go. Okay,
and that's why it's a different mask because it's not Ghostface. I guess I don't fucking know. Why do they do this with these things?
I mean, a horror.
I'm aggravated.
There's really been no successful horror TV shows that I can think of.
I literally
Twilight
don't think
Zone.
MTV's ever done anything that hasn't infuriated me. I can't think of one thing they. Well, I like the Jon Stewart show when he had the talk show.
That was 48 years ago.
I'm just trying to name good things. I loved MTV Raps. I loved
Sure.
Headbangers Ball. I loved 120 Minutes.
I mean, it used to have this very, like, forbidden feel to me. I never had cable growing up. When I would babysit, I would go and be like, I can't wait to see MTV, and I'd watch the Black Hole Sun video and the Weezer Buddy Holly video.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, good Lord, these are fucking works of art, these things. And I think most people's frustration is, why does MTV not show any music anymore? It's not my issue, really. It's just kind of like, why is nothing on here particularly good?
Well, if you notice out on my DVD shelves, and I do have quite a vast collection, ladies.
Yeah.
I have a huge box, not a huge box set, but like a 4 DVD, with each DVD being a double disc or whatever, box set of video music directors.
I have the same thing.
Because I have the Spike Jones one.
Got them all.
The guy did all the YouTube videos.
Each one of them is amazing.
Yeah. They're great when you're having a party, just for visuals on the TV.
Sure.
No,
Spike Jones made, in my opinion, the best music videos there ever were.
Yeah, he was really good.
And now he makes fucking amazing movies.
He was really good. But yeah, okay, so in the last 20 years, I'd say MTV hasn't done anything that hasn't infuriated me.
That's fair. I didn't see the recent VMAs, but they're always a real downer.
I was at my friend's in New York, and they put it on, and I literally at one point I said, guys, I can't watch this. And they said, why? And I said, because it makes me so angry that I'm going to start yelling at your TV.
Yeah, nobody wants that.
It makes me furious. I can't even deal with it. I can't deal with it. I miss a lot of. That's why I don't have cable. I hate certain aspects of pop culture so much that I don't have cable, and then I miss tons of shit.
Right.
I would have watched the goddamn Scream show just out of curiosity, and then I would have been furious. But
it's
whatever.
always a thing, and I have a very kind of like, I need to finish and I need to complete series and movies and all that kind of stuff. Like, if I see 3 movies in a franchise, I'm going to watch 12 movies of a franchise. And eventually you're just wasting hours of your life because they're bad.
Look,
and that's the way you start a show on MTV, and I'm like, yeah, I'll watch the Scream series. But then I find myself having devoted 12 hours to the Scream series, and then I wish I was dead.
It's like being in a bad relationship. You just go,
Sure.
this will get better, and then it just doesn't really. I finally gave up on, and I hate to say it because I'm a fan of everybody in the show, and I'm a fan of the idea of the show.
Yeah.
And at moments the show is brilliant. But I finally gave up on Bates Motel. I couldn't do it anymore.
I did too. It had scenes that were really like shot in cool ways and like a couple cool ideas, but then more often than not, you're like, what are you doing?
Why is there a whole subplot about the town selling
I know.
pot? What
Weed.
The fuck
It's
does
so
that have
dumb.
to do with anything?
I tend to need, like I said, a lot of people to recommend something, or the whole season to have aired and people to be like, I tell you, this whole season was great. Then I'll watch the whole season.
By the way, at this point in the film, if you are watching along with us, they're at a party. Matthew Lillard's character is having a house party. I've never known a guy like this in my life. I've seen a guy like this in a million movies about teenagers. Never knew a guy like this Matthew Lillard character walking around in a satin robe for no good reason.
No.
Just the guy.
Well, I had no cool friends growing up. Almost to the present, to be honest with you.
Sure.
I don't like cool people and never had cool friends, but never went to a party like this. The parties I went to were always like 12 angry guys not getting laid, sitting in a basement yelling at MTV.
Well,
but we had a good time.
Pat, we could have been lifelong chums.
Yeah.
Yeah, look.
And then you wind up kind of growing up and you kind of miss that. Because now, if me and you were to sit and watch MTV for 12 hours, we'd feel like we were wasting our lives.
Sure.
And we'd have other things to go do.
Sure. Yeah. At the very least, let's make it a podcast if we're going to sit on our asses and watch things.
Let's bring in that podcast cash. Or podcast. Look at
Look
this.
at these nips. Rose McGowan nips on 10.
Now, here's a big question. Do they say, hey, Rose, we'd love for you to be nipping hardcore in this scene? Or do they just make it real cold in there and not tell her? What do you think? Do they get it in the contract because it is a form of nudity?
No,
What do you think?
I honestly think that it's, for some reason, she probably said okay to not wearing a bra or decided to not wear a bra. And I bet you at some point a woman on set went up and said, hey, just so you know, sweetie, your turkeys are done.
Right.
And she probably went, oh, I don't care.
Yeah. Plus, she's holding beers up against some.
I'm fucking the guy that wrote Beautiful People. What do I give a shit?
Yeah, she wants to be a star.
It does look like she's wearing a bra, though.
She is clearly wearing a bra.
Those things are rocking through the bra?
Or else they were fake nipples, which is another weird thing. I know quite a few people who worked on Friends, as we were talking about earlier, and they said as there became a little sort of healthy competition amongst the cast, and not so much Kudrow, but Aniston would come into set for her scenes nipping hard. And you watch, as you move along through Friends, you see a lot of Aniston really aggressively nipping. Then Courtney Cox, fearing that she was going to be less desirable because she wasn't nipping, would also start nipping. And the winner was the viewer, of course.
Sure. And then eventually Duchovny started showing his balls.
On what?
I'm joking, Pat.
Duchovny? You meant Schwimmer.
Schwimmer. God.
The reason I didn't get your joke is because I
God
thought you were moved on to the X-Files.
I was like, oh, was that bad of a joke? Schwimmer started showing his
yeah.
balls.
Schwimmer's got the outline of his balls. Perry comes out with his taint exposed. It was a rough time.
Rose McGowan is about to be murdered by Ghostface
by a garage door opener. That's my first voice crack of the podcast.
She gets murdered by a garage door opener?
Well, they like take her up in the garage door, her body.
God, I really remember nothing. I thought I really remembered this movie. I really haven't seen it in a long time.
It's a cool skirt. It like draws you into her butt and vagina.
I love McGowan. You know, just the right shade of pale.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can tell she's got tattoos in all the right places.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, here we go.
You could tell she probably sidled up to a game of beer pong and talked a lot of shit.
Sure.
You know? Where's your drink, you pussy? I picture her being like one of those kinds of girls.
Yeah. Then she gets drunk and it goes a little too far, and then she's embarrassing you in front of your friends.
But you can't stay away.
You can't stay away.
You tell her you never want to see her again, and you can't stay away.
No, you find yourself calling her a couple nights later.
Couple nights. Couple minutes.
Oh.
All right, so McGowan just bit it.
I remember being very disappointed that she died in this. I was like, ugh.
Well, I mean, she died. Why? Did you think you were going to see her naked eventually?
Especially at this age when I'm like 15 years old, that's honestly all I thought about.
Was, by the way, I didn't realize till now her name is Tatum.
Yeah.
Rose McGowan. Her name is Tatum. Channing Tatum. One of my favorite jokes I ever wrote for Pete's show was...
You said this on the podcast.
I said this already?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Taint.
God damn it. All right,
we've both done this. It's embarrassing, but we've both done it.
I mean, we got to talk for 2 hours straight in this goddamn thing.
I know.
I mean, I don't remember what you could tell me we already did an episode about Scream. I wouldn't even... We're 4 episodes in. I can't remember what the fuck we've talked about already.
Yeah.
We got to start getting into some weirder movies so, like, you know...
Yeah.
It's making us...
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Okay, oh, that's fine.
Our picture just went nuts, but then it came back.
The old... as far as this obsession I had with nudity at the time, because we didn't have the internet in my house till I was in college. I brought a big group of friends of mine to see The Gift, and nobody cared to see it, speaking of Sam Raimi. And I was so off the charts excited because I was going to see Katie Holmes naked.
Right.
And at the time, this was pre-Cruise, during Dawson's Creek. I was so beyond obsessed with Katie Holmes, and I just thought she's the best-looking lady in the world. I go to see The Gift, and I'm like, I heard she's naked in this, and I brought like 10 friends, and we're like, okay, here we go. The Gift's an okay movie. It's going. About an hour in, they're all like, when are we going to see this? They pull Katie Holmes' naked corpse out of a river. And everyone looks down the aisle at me like, you fucking son of a bitch. And I was so distraught that I didn't know what to do. And finally, at about the hour 30 mark, they do a flashback with Holmes and Greg Kinnear. And as the flashback begins, I said, thank you, Jesus. I've got another chance.
Holmes
and sure enough,
Kinnear.
she gets completely topless in that thing. And it was as glorious as I'd always dreamed.
And she bangs Kinnear?
In that movie, she's dating Kinnear, who I think is her teacher.
I was going to say, Kinnear's like 20 years older than her, isn't he?
Yeah, and that's right around the time he also was banging Mina Suvari
In real life.
In real life, really?
Oh, no, I'm saying in real life? I was
No,
asking.
in the very underrated teen movie Loser
Never saw it.
with Jason Biggs, directed by Amy Heckerling, but who did Clueless and Fast Times at Ridgemont
Sure,
High.
yes.
I think people gave that movie a bad rap. Gift has a lot of weird casting. Keanu Reeves plays like an abusive boyfriend.
Is Loser the one with Jason Schwartzman in it, too?
No, that's Slackers.
Slackers,
Which
that's
is
right.
okay. I remember there being a weird cult around that movie, but doesn't really warrant
The
it.
Schwartz, he brings a cult in.
And Accepted was the Justin Long one of those.
I saw Accepted in the movie theater by myself
I think I did
because I was
too.
delivering pizzas at the time, and I'd get off of work at 2
Yeah.
p.m., and then I still was living at home, and my parents didn't go to 5, so I'd just go to a movie.
Yeah.
And spend the afternoon there, and I saw Accepted, and that was my introduction to Jonah Hill.
He was funny in that.
The part where he screams.
The part where he screams
is
steals the
amazing.
show.
It's amazing.
I remember that being in the trailer, and I was like, man, that's really funny. And the movie wasn't that funny.
It's an art flick.
Great bit.
That summer I saw Accepted, Art School Confidential,
Oh, I love that movie.
and
I own
Passion
it.
of the Christ, all by myself.
Also hilarious.
in a theater.
I loved Art School Confidential. It's a much meaner, nastier movie than Ghost World, but I love them both.
It gets dark in ways you're not expecting. Because
Yeah.
it starts almost silly.
Yeah,
and
I
then
think.
gets dark where you're like, the end of it, you're like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I think that Terry Zwigoff is too dark to maybe ever work again, which is really unfortunate. But like, if you look at that track record, Crumb, Ghost World, Art School Confidential, Bad Santa, and Bad Santa came out in over 10 years ago, and the guy hasn't made a movie since. That movie made a lot of money.
I have a theory.
I think he's really difficult to work with, is what I've always heard.
I have a theory about Bad Santa.
Go on. A+ in my opinion.
It's a masterpiece. I showed it to my parents last Christmas, and
Yeah,
we had a wonderful time together. We
Yeah.
talked about that on this podcast.
sadly we've also talked about that.
Right? Jesus Christ. Anyway, did I tell you my theory?
I don't think so.
Okay. There's a Twilight Zone. There's an episode of the Twilight Zone called Night of the Meek.
Mm-hmm.
The original version of it stars Art Carney. The remake stars the guy from Empty Nest. I'm blanking on his name. The guy that
Richard
was on
Mulligan?
Yes, Richard
Okay.
Mulligan. And the plot is, it's like a heartfelt Twilight Zone. It's the Christmas episode.
Yeah.
And it's about a Santa Claus, a department store Santa Claus who's a complete drunk.
Okay.
And, gets fired from the department store because he was drinking on his break and embarrasses himself and is mortified and
Right.
apologetic and everything, and then actually becomes Santa Claus.
Okay.
I was just tapping your arm, sorry.
That's fine.
Actually becomes Santa Claus, and that's the Twilight Zone twist at the end. He
Right.
redeems himself by becoming Santa Claus.
Okay.
My theory is that when they were writing, that the way the idea for Bad Santa came up was they were watching that Twilight Zone and said, well, what if he wasn't embarrassed and was just a piece
Right.
of shit?
That could very well be.
I really think that's what it was. Like,
Yeah.
how funny would it be if he was just a fucking scumbag, like, owning this?
Yeah.
And then at the end, he does kind of become Santa Claus at the end of Bad Santa.
Right.
In a much different way, but,
There some fascinating things about Bad Santa. They're uncredited, but apparently a vast majority of the script was rewritten by the Coen brothers, which I
Yeah.
love.
Yeah.
And also obsessively courted and was going to play it till almost the last minute was Bill Murray. So like I think Bill Murray
God
would have been amazing, and
Damn
yet
it.
I think looking at it now, I love what Billy Bob Thornton did so much. I don't even care. I don't need to see Bill Murray play the part.
Well, I'll say this
And
much.
I love Bill Murray.
As much as it saddens me to think I could have seen Bill Murray play that part, because he's always great playing a dirtball.
Yeah.
I don't know if I think the great thing that Billy Bob Thornton brought to it was he captured a darkness that I don't know if I would have felt with Bill Murray.
I agree. And Bill Murray is clearly a guy with some fucking demons.
Right.
But, like, Billy Bob Thornton played that with, like, just the, like, no humanity in his eyes even. And I think that's what makes the movie so special to me.
Yeah,
Just, like, because, like, I don't think we'll ever again, outside of the rawest of indie movies, see a character that, like, amoral and alcoholic and given up on life. That movie blew my fucking mind,
Yeah.
and it still does when I watch it. I'm like, this is it. Like,
Also-
this is a movie that didn't, like, make any concessions to anyone.
Well, my friend Jim and I often talk about how nobody curses funnier than Billy Bob Thornton.
I agree. I even love the Bad News Bears remake.
Yeah, I was into it too.
Yeah.
But his favorite line is Billy Bob Thornton in, I think it's in Intolerable Cruelty,
Funny movie.
where he goes, "Well, goddamn good to meet you," I think is his line
Yeah.
in that. And my favorite is always from Love Actually, where he walks by Hugh Grant's assistant, who's a really hot girl, and Billy Bob Thornton goes, "God damn, that's a pretty son of a bitch."
Uh-huh.
About a woman.
Yeah.
God damn, that's a pretty son of a bitch. Yeah, that guy's Billy Bob Thornton's fucking hilarious, man.
See, this
Now,
This
as
was
I
a-
say the word hilarious, then Jamie Kennedy comes on the screen. I mean, this
was
guy,
a troubling time.
has he ever made you laugh?
Jamie Kennedy's never made me laugh, no.
Ever?
But I know people who love him.
Even
So,
that prank show sucked.
yeah. No, I agree.
You know you get
I
a
agree.
bad prank show when Ashton Kutcher's out doing your prank show.
I agree. You know what was a much funnier show that no one ever speaks about was the Andy Dick Show. That was on
What's that?
MTV, and that show had some genius sketches on it.
Was Ben Stiller was Fox. What was
Ben
the
Stiller
Andy
was
Dick
Fox.
show?
Andy Dick Show was around this time. Like, it feels like about a 96. And, man, he had some amazing characters. He did, like, a long, sad, dark Britney Spears parody episode that was amazing. And it fit squarely into that MTV mold, you know, like it was appealing to those kids, but it was really smart and fucked up and funny. And that is the guy who played Meatloaf, by the way.
It is the guy that played Meatloaf.
Yeah.
Well, what's he up
Who
to?
hasn't had one line of dialogue yet, I don't think.
No, he had one. We were talking through it. He
All
said
right.
something to Courtney Cox when they were in the van. I didn't like how she was yelling at him earlier, calling him a big fat lard ass.
I didn't care for it either.
Uncalled for. You know, here's a sort of romantic scene.
Romance
between
in Bloom.
Cox and Arquette.
I wonder if they
This
played this at the wedding.
is where during their first dance. I think
Yeah.
they worked their character names into the vowels.
And when I met my Dewey. And then he
Yeah.
goes, when I met my... Oh, whoa, how weird was that?
What?
I said, when I met my... And she said her name, Gail
That's
Weathers.
weird. That was
Joe.
weird. That was weird. Yes, it was weird. I'm sorry. I barely noticed it because you yelled so quickly after.
It was kind of amazing. I
Scared
said,
the
and
shit
she
out of
said,
me.
when my Gail Weathers. That was
That is
kind of a
weird.
special moment.
I was just thinking of my vows for him in my head. Sorry.
No, or what you would say if you married David Arquette?
Where he says to her, "Luckily you were in my jurisdiction." You know, something like that.
Right,
Like some kind of
right.
Cop joke. You know what I mean?
We started as, he looks at the audience, friends. But eventually I made you, looks at the audience, scream in bed.
Because you were, looks at the audience, ready to rumble.
Yeah, great, perfect.
And
You don't have to be
then he goes, and
Sherlock Holmes to figure out how much our love. Should we go up right now to like Van Nuys, catch the tail end of David Arquette and Sherlock Holmes, and then hang out with him?
because we're the only two people there.
We would be the only people there.
I got to tell you, why would we not go to that show?
If the tickets are more than $7, there's your answer. If they're less, then yes, I would go.
You're making all that TV money.
I am very wealthy.
I start a new writing job on Monday. Let's spend some cash and go see this David Arquette.
Let's do it. If you
I'm
got,
just terribly curious.
he doesn't seem like the right choice, frankly.
I can't mock the guy because I was doing I remember a private corporate gig.
Oh, okay.
It was in a restaurant. They were having this big dinner in the restaurant, and I was in the bar waiting to go on, and he was there at the bar for his birthday party,
Right.
or birthday dinner or something, and all these people were showing up, and he went off with several good-looking, well-to-do people
Sure.
to have a nice birthday party, and then I went in and bombed for an hour in front of 60-year-old men that were eating steak. So,
Yeah.
Dave, you're doing better than I am.
What was the corporate?
Couldn't tell you.
Oh.
Never bombed. I mean, just bombing, insulting them because they weren't laughing. They're heckling me, saying we had Sarah Silverman once, and she was wonderful.
They yelled out a full sentence like, "We had Sarah Silverman once, and you weren't that funny."
They said we had. I said, who else has done this?
Oh, okay. You asked.
And they said Sarah Silverman, and I said, how did she do? And they said, oh, she was great.
Yeah.
She was great. And I was like, tell me what she did, because this is fucking horrible.
Yeah.
I can't figure this out right now.
And again, not a brag, I've yet to really bomb at stand-up, but I think
You've done it 7 times.
I
Pat.
think no, yeah, exactly. I haven't done it a lot of times. When I do it, when I do bomb, I think that'll be it for me. I don't know that I can handle it.
This is the part in the movie. I was trying to remember, how do they make you think it's not Skeet?
There you go.
There you go, because Skeet gets killed by Ghostface.
Definitely.
In front of the fuck's her name? I almost called her Daisy.
Nev
Sydney.
Campbell. Sydney. Definitely at this point in the movie, I was like, oh, shit, if it's not him, who is it? And I started running through my mind. And that's, that I don't think had been done in a horror movie to that time. It's a great twist.
I could have sworn we saw Lillard leave the house, too.
Maybe.
He ran out with everybody. Everybody ran out of the house.
By the way, hitting him with that door would have had no effect on him.
Why
He
not?
fell to the ground.
You don't think if you got hit with a big wooden door, you wouldn't fall to the ground?
It wasn't a big. It was a thin wooden door, and it was Nev Campbell hitting him with it.
Let's test it out, Pat.
If you hit me with this door over here, I'd go, "Wow, what the fuck, Joe?"
I want you to go into the other room and run full speed at this door as I slam it into you.
I'd go, "Ow!" I wouldn't fall to the floor.
Put your money where your mouth is.
All right.
I think it'd be more than an ow. Also, I mean, you got a nitpick here. I mean, for Christ's sakes, it's a,
No, it's just something in movies like, like when somebody punches a guy in the face and then his eyes flitter and he falls to the ground and he's unconscious. I'm like, no, I don't buy that.
What did she just fall onto? She fell off a roof
boat.
onto a boat. All right, well then.
A conveniently placed boat.
Thank God for that. Fair enough. I'll buy it. I'll take it. Lucky
Yeah,
break.
there could be a boat.
Lucky break. Well, it's
Rich people have boats in the driveway.
They do. It's a pain moving that boat every
Oh.
morning when you got to pull the cars out, but it's worth it in the summertime.
This has been Pat Walsh and Joe DeRosa for Boats. Are we supposed to believe he's this drunk now?
I don't know if Jimmy Kennedy's supposed to be drunk in this scene
Or
just him being funny. I don't know.
He's not
what
great.
He's doing. I don't know. He's watching Halloween.
Halloween, I watch once a year. It's a perfect movie.
It's great. I like Halloween 2 better.
Are you kidding me?
No, it's still John Carpenter. It's
See,
still
you
the
have a
same
lot
writers.
more in common with Quentin Tarantino than you might think.
I like Halloween 2 better. It's more fast paced. It gives you more what you want.
I could not disagree more. I just couldn't disagree more.
The first picture is very good, but it's also slow. It's a very slow build to the end.
Yeah, that's called suspense.
I understand, but I like the second one. You like H2O?
I
That's an
remember
awesome
thinking
movie.
it was okay. I should go through them all again. I've only
That's Kevin Williamson.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a great movie. We should watch that on here sometime.
We
We
will.
should probably watch Halloween.
I own them all. Recently, I've only watched 1 and 2, but I
You-
think it's basically like an A+ and a.
So you
B
own
minus.
4, 5, 6 too, huh?
I own them all. I'm going to try to watch them.
What did you buy, the set?
Yeah, bought the set.
The
Got all
Rob
the
Zombie
extras.
ones to me are terrible, but
Yeah, it's
mean,
just like
it's-
why are you punishing us? We're just trying to.
it's so
why are you
much.
trying to make me feel sick
It's so
and
much.
sad and depressed?
Yeah.
That's like a horror movie to me. I don't mind being scared shitless. I don't mind disturbing, But when you start making me sad, like what? That's not what I'm here for.
The part I don't like is that there's that like guard in the institution with him that like kind of takes care of him.
Yeah.
And then he kills the guard too.
Now that you're saying that, I remember
and
that
you're like,
very well.
It'd be so much. It would give so much more to the character if he didn't kill that guy.
Yeah.
And that was a guy. That was the eyewitness that was there to tell the cops like this is what just happened here. You know
all
what I mean?
those Rob Zombies are just such like just shoving your face in the mud. Except I did like Devil's Rejects, which kind of had an action element
it's
to it.
literally the only one I've never seen because every other one of his movies I didn't like.
Yeah, they're not for me.
I respect what the guy does. Like I respect that he's made a career in making horror movies, but you know, I was so excited to see Lords of Salem.
Didn't say that one.
And you know, by the third time you're seeing, you know, burnt-faced demons jerking off with black dildos. You're like, I get it, Rob. Okay,
we're good, Rob.
Everything's depraved. I get it.
Yeah,
you know, like it's just, I don't know.
By the
not
way,
for me.
I don't even think Rob Zombie's the guy's real name. I'm gonna say that now on this podcast. I am tomorrow night.
You know what it is? I actually know what his real name is.
What is it?
Brad Zombie.
Good one, Joe.
See? What I did?
I'm excited tomorrow night. I'm going to go see The Visit, the new Shyamalan, which comes out tomorrow.
Is that?
I think that looks fantastic, and I hope it's good. I'm always rooting for Shyamalan. The guy made 2 masterpieces and then just an assortment of shockingly terrible movies.
I hate Signs.
I liked Signs better than the other ones, and I like the first half of The Village a lot.
The first half of The Village is cool.
Lady in the Water, I was like, okay, this guy's insane. But then you keep thinking he'll get back on track, and he never did. I think The Visit looks really cool, and I read some article where he was like, I know that this is my last chance.
Well, after Lady in the Water, he stopped making horror movies. That's when he started doing, like, Last Airbender and all that stuff.
I didn't see that one. But The Happening is
oh, no, The Happening was after
really
that.
almost
Sorry.
unwatchable.
Yeah, The Happening sucks.
Signs has some good scares. Like, there's a couple, like that video of the...
Yes.
That's a cool scare.
That's a good scare. Yeah, it's Signs. Signs is overall better than The Village, but I really don't care for Signs. I don't care for.
He's just like such a great technical filmmaker. Like he needs to let somebody else write his scripts or something. At this point, although The Sixth Sense and Unbreakable are almost without flaws, but I'm excited about The Visit for sure.
I didn't know that opened tomorrow. I might go see that tomorrow night because I'm.
It's going to be at the Vista right around the corner.
Oh, it is?
I just told all your stalkers where you live.
Yeah, thanks. I'm trying not to have any booze until Saturday, so that'll be a thing to do tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Go to the Vista.
You're like a werewolf. You got to stay off the streets if you want to, like, be good.
What the hell else am I going to do? I'm a single man on a Friday night. You know, I'm not going to a bar. What am I going to do? Go take in a movie by myself?
Boy, it's sad but true.
Sit behind you and your girlfriend in the theater. Oh, hey, guys. That's weird that you're here, too.
Poke your head up between.
No, that's cool. No. Oh, really? Sit with you? Come on now. All right.
No, I mean, I guess. Sit between you?
We're nearing the end of the film here. Ghostface is now... Courtney Cox has fled the scene. Everybody's dead. Ghostface has Nev cornered. Basically, she's in a truck. She's locked herself in.
We're not... I mean, we have, as always, we're not paying the closest of attention, but the movie doesn't seem to pack the constant scares I remember it packing.
No, it's been pretty steady.
I did used to be a lot more of a pussy, like when I saw
I
this.
never found the movie scary. I found it well done. I mean,
sure.
These movies don't scare me usually.
Sure.
You got to really. The Exorcist used to scare me, but because it gets in your head.
The Exorcist, especially because my father was one of the only R-rated movies he let me watch because I could learn about Catholicism.
Yeah,
so
well, she shoves a cross in her pussy. So
yeah, and then she's masturbating with a crucifix. So we watched it the next night. It's like a fall night, and my dad takes me to the staircase in St. Louis, and he goes, "This is supposed to be the staircase where this actually happened, where they threw the priest down the stairs." And I was like, "Oh, so it happened locally, because that's supposed to be based on a true St. Louis story."
Okay.
Exorcist still scares the shit out of me.
Was that it for you with the movie?
No, I just think I watched it fairly recently, and I think it's still terrifying. If you turn the lights out, it's going to fuck you up.
Yeah, it's scary as shit. It's scary as shit. Oh, here's where they make you think Jamie Kennedy's the killer.
But that, that one almost invents a new kind of scary. Like it's still just kind of like unbelievably intense for today. And the fact that you hear audiences passed out in the 70s, like, yeah, I fully believe that.
Yeah,
it's like a merciless, almost like made by a demon kind of movie.
They'll never come close to. I read the book recently, about a year ago.
I read it when I was a kid.
And you read the book when you were a kid. How old were you?
Sadly, because I couldn't see these movies, I used to read the book.
How old were you when you read that book?
Probably right after I watched the movie, so I must have been 10 or something.
10?
Yeah.
You saw her shoving a cross in her vagina when you were 10.
Yeah, and again, I couldn't watch I couldn't watch any R-rated movies.
Why did
Godfather,
your dad
whatever.
think that was okay? That part, he wasn't like, this is a little bit much?
I don't remember what we did at that point. I probably left the room, but he was big on me learning about Catholicism.
Or did he show you it on like regular TV where maybe that was edited?
Nope, we watched the real deal. Because I remember being like, I used to beg my dad to see any R-rated movies, and I remember as that movie was going, I was like, I might have to leave. I might not be able to watch this. But then I might never get to watch an R-rated movie again, so I got to sit it out.
That's great, man. Yeah, I remember when my mom finally let me see it, and I was like, oh, my God. It was, and I was like, oh, I get it. Now I get it. Now I get why I wasn't allowed to watch this forever. Yeah. It scared the shit out of me. That
was embarrassing acting by Jamie Kennedy upon getting shot. Like, hey, Jamie, act like you got shot, and he can't do that right.
What did he do?
He goes, oh.
So this is, and look at this with this Skeet Ulrich.
Weirdly enough, Ulrich is way better once he makes the flip than he is as just a normal guy.
I'm still not buying him. I'm buying Lillard.
That's a sweater I may have owned in the 90s, and I might have worn that necklace too.
Look at Lillard. I'm buying Lillard right now. Look at him. He's
spooky.
Doing great. Skeet's doing like the I'm sinister.
Yeah.
Lillard, on the other hand, just looks like a fucking, like a douchey guy.
Yeah.
I like it. I'm buying it.
All right.
They should have made T-shirts of that. See how that Skeet white T-shirt with the two blood?
Skeet shirt?
Skeet shirt, yeah.
Skate, 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 motherfucker.
With the two blood streaks on it, that would have been a marketing move right there. You sell that T-shirt with the two blood streaks.
If it was a little more memorable, like you don't walk out of the movie remembering that shirt.
On the back it says "Scream."
Are they? I know they're not doing it overtly, but are they implicitly implying that these two are gay lovers? What is this shot all about?
Well, Lillard is sort of resting his chin on Skeet's shoulder.
I mean, he's giving him a reach around, essentially. Is
it
that kind of like In Cold Blood?
I think there is supposed to be a certain implication that they have a very intimate relationship. Maybe not.
Right.
It may be sexual. I mean, look, they murder together.
Right.
So
you remember Murder by Numbers with Gosling and Sandy Bullock?
Never saw it.
That's another kind of like two guys murdering together, and there's a lot of like, did they or didn't they kind of shit.
Did they put the Sting song in it?
They sure did.
Does it work?
No, you know what? They didn't, because they used the Sting song Murder by Numbers as a major plot point in Copycat, which is a movie that is so good but was overshadowed because it came out around the same time as Seven.
Isn't Copycat also Sandra Bullock?
No, it's Holly Hunter, my favorite actress, and Sigourney Weaver. And they're great together. And Harry Connick Jr., of all people, is the villain, and he's great in it.
Harry Connick's a good actor.
And if you have not seen Copycat, it was rightfully overshadowed by Seven, which is a much better movie, but Copycat is great. It's a really good,
Copycat's a solid effort.
Really good serial killer movie, and deserves better than what it got.
I've never been a big serial killer movie or serial killer movie fan. I like.
I'll take them over horror movies most of the time.
No way.
I love them.
I love a horror movie.
Silence of the Lambs, Seven, Zodiac.
Well, but
boom, boom, boom.
Hold on a second. I was gonna say, except for ones like Seven or Silence of the Lambs,
right?
Because they feel more like horror films to me.
Yeah, sure.
But Copycat is another. I never like Kiss the Girls.
Did you see? You have or have not seen Copycat?
I haven't.
Come over and watch it. I own it.
I'm saying that
it's
kind
so
of
good.
movie. I'm usually like,
yeah.
Kiss the Girls with Along Came a Spider.
Okay, those aren't great.
Those kind of things. Well, I like the Hitchcock films though, and those are always murder mysteries. But
yeah,
who do they have taped up here?
Kiss the Girls isn't awful. Those
Oh,
used to
that's-
be the Bone Collector. There was one of those every week.
And they all had Jolie and Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, Morgan Freeman was always involved.
Morgan Freeman gives me great hope in this business because he didn't really make it till he was like 53 or something.
Yeah, that's what
When he did
my
Lean on
dad.
Me.
When I was like, I realize you're trying to support me, but it's not coming across. But I was trying to be a writer, and I was 23 years old or something, which is very reasonable. And he was like, Pat, you got to look at Dennis Franz. Dennis Franz wasn't a famous actor till he was 52 years old. And I'm like, yeah, I'm a child, Dad. I'm not like washed up.
And I love.
By the way, the Bone Collector, just so you don't think that we mix up all black actors, was Denzel Washington.
It was?
Yeah, it was Denzel and Jolie.
I thought that was part of that I thought that was the Kiss the. Well, wait, wasn't Kiss the.
Kiss the Girl. He was playing the same character, and then recently the same character was played by Tyler Perry, who was in all those books. But it used to be Morgan Freeman. In Kiss the Girls and Along Came a Spider.
Wait a second. Hold on. Slow down a second.
Then there's Double Jeopardy with Ashley Judd.
Kiss the Girls and Along Came the Spider. Morgan Freeman's the same guy. Is it the
Yes.
guy from Seven?
No, that's its own character.
Now,
Seven's its own
What
fucked
movie
up
did
thing.
Tyler Perry play that character in?
I guess the character is called Alex Cross, and I believe he played him in Alex Cross.
Okay.
I didn't see that one.
I heard Tyler Perry stole the show in Gone Girl.
I disagree, but I think people were mostly surprised that he was pretty good in it. I like Gone Girl a lot, and I like Tyler Perry in it a lot.
He's a good actor. He
That's
just
the
makes
only Tyler Perry
not
movie
great
I've seen.
movies, you know.
Yeah, Bone Collector is Denzel, and let me make sure Alex Cross is Freeman.
No, Alex Cross is. I don't know.
No, yeah, Morgan Freeman played him in Along Came a Spider and Kiss the Girls also.
And does Denzel play that character in Bone Collector?
Nope, different thing.
Different guy.
Different thing.
All right. But Morgan Freeman was in Training Day. I'm kidding. It's a
I love
joke.
Training Day.
It's a fucking awesome movie. Who doesn't
Yeah.
like Training Day?
All right. By the way, I
Yeah.
think that is top 5 nudity for me is Ava Mendez in Training Day. I rewatched it recently, and I about fell off the couch.
Do they show her boobs?
Yeah.
Really?
It's really crazy good,
All right.
and it's brief, and
I'll go back into that.
it's not particularly graphic. It's just really good.
This is why I could never be a murderer, because they're doing the thing. They're at the part at the end of their killing spree where now they're like, we have to make it look like we are innocent, so we got to stab each other.
Right.
I wouldn't be able to do that part.
But I remember loving this and being like, this is really
no, it's
new
great.
shit.
It's great. I wouldn't be able to do it though. That's what I'm saying.
If you and I murder somebody and we
I
got
couldn't. Yeah, that's the
Right.
main thing that would stop me is when you were like, okay, now we got to stab each other.
when we push stop on this and go out and kill somebody.
Don't say it like that.
What if we get framed now tonight because of that?
Well, I told you before when I said I wanted to stab you. If you ever get stabbed, they're going to come to me first now.
It's true.
Courtney Cox just got knocked out by Skeet Ulrich. Strangely enough, they both have the same haircut. Skeet loves those bangs in his eyes, man.
I think they popped old Scream 2 out the next year. I think that's how quickly they turned that around.
They went fast with this.
Yeah.
They went fast
and
with
then
this.
Scream 4 took forever.
And Craven was smart to stick with the franchise because he left the franchise with Nightmare
Yeah.
because he was against the idea of making a sequel. And he also said, and I believe I've said this, Christ almighty,
Shocker.
before. Yeah, that
Yeah,
was
we talked
gonna-
about this one.
fuck it.
Look, I'm sorry, Joe.
Guys, go back and listen to the Nightmare on Elm Street episode. You'll know what I was about to say just then. I needn't say it again.
So let's say Hollywood comes to you, Joe, and they say you can remake any horror movie you want to make. You write it your way. You come in with a cool take on it. What do you do? Whatever you want to do.
Wait, say this again?
They come to you and they want you to reboot a horror movie. They want you to write it, do your take on it, your spin on it. Which one do you do? So
Creep Show, without question.
same stories?
No, I would want to reboot it and try to get the series going again.
Right. Okay.
Like all new stories, but like all new stories based on Stephen King stories.
Yeah.
you know, and
why not just do a different anthology? Why do you want to make a Creepshow reboot?
well, Creepshow is my favorite horror franchise of all time.
Okay.
So if somebody came to me and said, "What would you want to redo or reboot?" I'd want to see more Creepshows.
Okay, fair.
You know, I love anthology horror. That or Hellraiser, but they're already doing that with Clive Barker is already apparently doing that. So
Directing?
he's writing, directing, and producing the remake.
Any stars?
Apparently Doug Bradley's coming back as Pinhead. That's all I care about. They could have fucking raccoons
Right.
running around on the floor. I wouldn't
But
give a
it's the
shit.
same story? Like, why wouldn't you...
Well, it might not be. I'm sure it's going to be a different take, but
All right.
But I, you know, as long as Bradley's in there as Pinhead, I mean, that's why I watched all the goddamn sequels.
Yeah.
And, you know, they were nothing. A lot of them were nothing to write home about.
Right.
Pat, you know what I mean? Which one would you do?
I mean, I think I would want to do something imperfect. Like, you know, like my dream and my kind of thing that I feel I could write really well would be like a Misery, but I couldn't improve on Misery. So...
Right. Well, but I'm not by no means saying I could improve on Creepshow, which is why I wouldn't want to remake the old stories.
Right.
I would just want to see the thing started up again.
Yeah, I gotcha. I think my dream would have been Poltergeist until I saw what they did with Poltergeist, but maybe we could pretend that didn't happen.
I mean, I just, you know, I don't know. That's just... Who do you think they would cast if they made... By the way, Skeet Ulrich just got stabbed with an umbrella.
Mm-hmm.
How is that possible?
You know what? Here's my dream, and it's already happening, but apparently it's not going to be what we want it to be. Is that It remake? I would love a crack at that It remake.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, that'd be good. That, by the way, the way Skeeter Ulrich just died, head through the TV, and she said, "In your dreams."
Yeah.
That's a nod, I believe, to Nightmare on Elm Street 3.
3. You're going to be in pictures or whatever.
No, welcome to prime time, bitch.
Oh, right. I just watched a little more of that documentary, and the original line was like, "You finally got your dream to be in television." And then England improvised, "Welcome to primetime, bitch."
I was outside of the Glendale Galleria.
Bragger.
Which is our mall here.
Yep.
In beautiful Los Angeles.
Yep.
And I saw a woman, and she looked very familiar, and I couldn't place it for a moment. And then I realized who it was, and I said, "You're from Nightmare on Elm Street 3."
Wow.
And it was the TV.
And
girl.
she seemed flattered, I assume?
She was extremely flattered. I said, "I want to tell you this. You have the best kill in the entire franchise."
Yeah.
And she said, "That's so sweet of you." Lit up, smile. So she said, "God bless you."
That's great.
Yeah, it was very nice.
You know, I will always recognize like an actor who's been acting a lot and is in a lot of shit. Like I told you about that Richard Reel, that actor over at the diner here from Office Space and a bunch of movies. But like somebody who was in a movie in 1980, I'm not going to recognize now. We had on the show I write for, we had on the guy whose name's Jonathan Schmock, and he played the snooty guy at the fancy French restaurant in Ferris Bueller with the whole Abe Froman bit.
That's great.
Like the real nose turned up guy or whatever. And they told me the day after we shot it, I had no idea. The guy was really funny on the show. I had no clue. And I would have so loved to ask him about Ferris Bueller. But he looked completely different because it's been 30 years.
That's amazing. That's amazing. What did he look like?
You never would have guessed. But apparently he wrote a lot with this guy Jim Vallely, who wrote for Arrested Development. He's a big writer and got into a bunch of other shit.
I took my mom and dad to see a taping of Sullivan and Son.
Yep.
Because my mom was a big fan of the show, and Steve Byrne got me in and everything and whatever. But we were going in, and Steve was taking us around and introducing my parents to the cast.
Mm-hmm.
And then he introduced us to the guest star for that week. And he's like, "This is so-and-so. He was on The Nanny." And I was like, "Oh, holy shit, that's like the guy from The Nanny."
Charles Shaughnessy?
Yeah, it was the guy.
Yeah.
But I didn't remember.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I remember, like, we had Brian Doyle Murray on the show. He doesn't look that different than he did in fucking Vacation.
Of course. No, I remembered Brian Doyle. I was on an episode, and that was actually one of the greatest things I've ever got to experience in this business was when my parents were on set. It was the week after I taped.
Yeah.
And I introduced them to Brian Doyle Murray, and he tapped me on the shoulder, and he said, "He's a good boy." That was really nice.
Yeah.
And there we have it. Scream. Talked right
R.I.P.
over the NC.
R.I.P. Wes Craven, of course.
Wes, you're going to be greatly missed, man. You did some really terrific work, and
very influential shit for sure.
you know, I say it all the time. Nightmare on Elm Street was my gateway horror movie. My mom showed it to me when I was 11, and I never turned back. So, you know, I thank Wes Craven for that, for turning me onto horror for my entire life.
Yeah. And for me, he just reminds me of being a huge pussy when I was a kid. We talked about Shocker a little bit, but my friends being like, hey, we got to watch Freddy or whatever, and just dreading it all day. Things a lot of kids are like, oh, sweet, I get to watch Freddy. I would just be dreading it the entire day that I had to watch the scary thing.
I couldn't wait to see it, man.
And Shocker and all these movies that now are considered terrible. I was like, I can't believe I have to watch this scary movie.
All these movies, you're saying Wes Craven's movies are considered terrible?
Shocker.
Oh, the movie Shocker.
Yeah.
I read a thing online the other day that said that's a must-see Wes Craven movie.
I should rewatch it, but I just remember
I don't agree with that.
They all did their job
something.
when I was a kid, and they scared the shit out of me. And I'm going to watch Surfing in the Rainbow tonight because I've never seen it. I can't wait to watch it.
Craven.
I'm craving some Craven.
I'm craving some Craven. We miss you, man. And Godspeed. Pat, the people can follow you where?
They can follow me on Twitter, Vine, Instagram at the Patrick Walsh. If you have comments, thoughts on the show, you can go through Fangoria. You can tweet us there. Joe's at Joe DeRosa Comedy.
On Instagram and Twitter and Vine, which I never even look at.
Please do that. Please, we've got some couple iTunes reviews, but we're a new podcast. So, if you can review us or whatever you want to do, help us stand out from the pack, that would be great. We hope you like us. We hope you have a good time. Those of you tweeting at us all the time, we really appreciate it. It makes it exciting for us to do it as opposed to going through the motions. It's very fun.
Thank you for doing that. Leave a nice review if you would on the iTunes page there. You've been listening to and we'll be at the Mile High Horror Festival.
Oh, yeah.
First weekend of October. The Sunday of that festival, we will be doing a live. Details to come. They told us what we're going to be doing, but I don't.
We want to confirm.
Yeah, I don't have the official okay that we can talk about it.
It sounded very cool, so we got to make sure that's a thing.
Yeah, but it's very, very cool. And we're doing a live podcast with a movie, of course, and something that will make you horror fans quite happy.
Denver Mile High Film Festival, Horror Festival. That's Sunday, October 4th.
Festival's all weekend, but our thing is the Sunday.
Our thing is Sunday. We'll have time and all that coming soon.
You've been listening to We'll See You in Hell, a presentation of Fangoria Podcast Network. Produced by Thomas DeFeo and executive produced by Ken Hanley of Fangoria Entertainment. For press opportunities, advertising, inquiries, and information about We'll See You in Hell, contact Ken via his email, ken@fangoria.com. Thanks, folks. We'll see you next time in hell.
Thanks, guys.